Welcome back. Chris Christie made headlines today with what he said about Donald Trump. He's hoping, though, to get better mileage from a headline from yesterday, namely, top New Hampshire newspaper endorses Christie. That was a headline. The influential and conservative union leader naming Christie as their pick for 2016. He spoke today with CNN special correspondent Jamie Gangel.
Does this make you the comeback kid?
We'll see. You know, that'll be determined on February 9th when we see how the votes come in. But I think what it shows is that the work we've been putting in here in New Hampshire, the plans we've laid out, that people are taking them seriously and taking them to heart. And we're thrilled to have the endorsement.
Prediction today, Chris Christie could win New Hampshire.
Sure. Of course. I could win New Hampshire. And anybody who's up here and watches any of it knows that I can.
Apparently this endorsement is enough to worry your friend Donald Trump. Up to now, he has steered clear of criticizing you for the most part. But first thing this morning, he was on Twitter. How is Chris Christie running the state of New Jersey, which is deeply troubled, when he is spending all of his time in New Hampshire? New Jerseyans not happy. You say?
I'm just so glad to be noticed by Donald. Isn't that nice? It's great. And I'm happy to take whatever input he wants to give me in 140 characters or less, which is apparently the way he communicates best. So, fine.
Is this a compliment that he's now taking a punch at you?
Who knows? You know, Jamie, it's like, I think I'm not going to play into the business of spending the precious time you and I have together, you know, talking about Donald Trump. I mean, he's just.
Oh yes, we are.
He's just one of a number of candidates for us to talk about and chew over, and
right, but
I'm not worried about it.
He is the front runner. You have avoided criticizing him, but he insists, he's now doubled down and tripled down, that he saw thousands of Muslims celebrating after 9/11 in Jersey City. Then he says from 4 miles away in his office, he could see people jumping from the World Trade Center. Do you believe that either of those things happened?
No. All I know are the facts, you know, that what went on that day in New Jersey was not anything like what he said, and there's no film or video of it to prove it. He says he saw it on TV. It didn't happen.
But the first time you were asked about it, you said you didn't think it was true, but you didn't recall it. And as a former prosecutor, you know, when a witness says, I don't recall that, it sounds as if they don't want to answer the question.
No, it's an honest answer. I was not focused on everything else that was going on in New Jersey that day. My wife and my brother were both trapped in Lower Manhattan. I didn't know whether they were dead or alive. So I said, I don't think it happened, but I have to put that qualifier in there because I was not completely focused on what happened.
Did it happen?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
So why don't you call Donald Trump out on this? Well, he's doubled down, he's tripled down.
Everybody knows it didn't happen, so what's the use?
Did
you join the cacophony? I'm about distinguishing myself and making myself different from everybody else in a 14-person field. Not the same.
Yes or no, is it outrageous that Donald Trump keeps saying these things?
It's wrong. It's just wrong. It's factually wrong. Everybody else could determine what they think is outrageous or not outrageous. I mean, in the context of Donald, outrageous is a high bar.
His latest controversy is that he is mocking a New York Times reporter who has a physical disability. He now claims that he didn't know that the reporter had a physical disability. But if you watch the video, it's pretty hard.
I saw the video.
Do you think that he knew what he was doing?
It appears that way, but, you know, he's got to answer for himself. Like, I mean, I think part of the folly of all this is that we're answering for him. He said what he said. Now the people who vote will judge him. You shouldn't be making fun of people's disabilities. It's just not worthy of someone running for president of the United States.
For someone who says to someone, sit down and shut up, not to say what Donald Trump is doing is mean, outrageous, seems
Pick whatever adjective you want. Wait a second. If I say something is not worthy of coming out of the mouth of a candidate for president of the United States, when the person who's saying it is a candidate for president of the United States, I think that's pretty strong.
You think that's as strong as sit down and shut up?
Oh, well, in a different context, yeah. Sit down and shut up is a guy who's yelling and screaming at you in the middle of a speech. If Donald starts yelling and screaming at me in the middle of a speech, you could be sure that I'll say, sit down and shut up.
Will you ever go after him?
I will do what I think is best to win this race. I'm in it to be the next president of the United States because the stakes are too high to have a vanity exercise.
Syria and the refugee crisis. You recently said we shouldn't take orphans under the age of 5. Isn't it a little absurd to say that? Do you regret saying that at all?
No, first of all, I got to ask the question directly, okay? We should not be taking any refugees from anywhere unless they can be vetted. That's it.
President Obama responded to you and indicated, he didn't say it by name, but he said Republicans are scared of women and orphans.
Yeah, widows and orphans, I think is what he said. And I will tell you, the widows and orphans I'm concerned about are the widows of orphans of 9/11 that I still live with every day in New Jersey. And I want to make sure there's not another generation of them created. Maybe the president should spend some of his damn time worrying about that and less for scoring political points with his UN crowd. Because what he said was insulting, absolutely insulting. I care more about protecting the American people than I care about points with his Nobel Peace Prize friends. And that's all he cares about. And he doesn't care. He has shown repeatedly that he prioritizes that over protecting Homeland Security. He did it by getting rid of the NSA metadata program. He's done it over and over again. So quite frankly, being lectured by Barack Obama on foreign policy and national security is laughable. Laughable from the community organizer.
Today, a Syrian refugee family with 5 children, aged 3 to 17, and the mother is pregnant, is being settled in Paterson, New Jersey, by an interfaith group, Christians, Muslims, Jews. You have said New Jersey is not going to take in any refugees.
I didn't say not going to. I said doesn't want to. We don't have the authority to stop them. But what I'd like is if the president would share the information with us, but he doesn't.
This family is now scared. They were going to do an interview, and they're now scared because they're afraid you're going to try to kick them out of New Jersey.
Well, you know, listen, that's ridiculous. And I never said that I was going to try to kick any individual family out of New Jersey, but I want these families vetted. And what's he going to say to the families if one of these refugees comes in here and kills Americans? What's he going to say? Oops, my bad? We're all warning him. Do your job, Mr. President. Protect the national security of the American people first. Worry about all the rest of this stuff afterwards. And maybe if you had done your job in Syria the way you were supposed to, these folks wouldn't have to be leaving their country. But instead, he lied about that too and walked away from his commitments. So again, Jamie, being lectured by the President of the United States is laughable.
Last question. Now that the New York Times is being so nice to you,
I'm sure it's temporary insanity. They'll get back. Don't worry. They'll get back to their normal course with me.
very publicly canceled your subscription.
I did a long time ago.
Are you going to, now that they say you're the comeback kid?
No chance. Oh, no chance.
You're not going to renew it?
Oh, no chance.